We are going to walk non-violently and peacefully.
But I think there's nothing better that people can do than read the words.
I say to you today, my friends,
which leads into the palace of justice.
We must not be guilty of wrongful deeds.
He was really considered the greatest speaker of his generation, which was something to say. It was a generation that included John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, and they're all very different, but King's way of delivering speeches really lingered in the American memory.
With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
American has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt.
It was a style deeply rooted in the black church, and I think for many Americans, they had not really heard that style, for many white Americans. And I think that's why there was such an amazing impact the day he gave that I Have a Dream speech in Washington in 1963.
Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy.
Because that was nationally televised, and people got to hear these unbelievable cadences of the black church with repetition of key phrases, rising volume of voice and rising excitement, and going in and out of biblical metaphors.
Let the nation and the world know that we are tired now.
And his voice, I mean, anyone can write a good speech, but not everyone has the quality of voice that he had. And he had this unbelievably rich voice that you could hear across a wide area. And there just was something about his intelligence and his sheer vocal cords that made his speeches unforgettable.
We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force.
And I looked at that letter, and I'll never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Mr. King, I am a 9th grade student at the White Plains High School." She said, "While it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering, and I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. And I'm simply writing to you to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze."
We all are used to hearing a predictable speech. We get them a lot, especially in primary season. And to hear that unexpected quote or that twist of logic that we're not expecting. And I mean, for me, I really find it very moving that he rooted so much of this struggle for black rights in 18th century American political logic, that he was saying Thomas Jefferson, a slaveholder, wrote these words in the Declaration of Independence. We have to live up to them.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred.
The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges.
He spoke for himself. He's still speaking through his words, so people can learn from them. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality.